My first speaker, you ready, sir? My first speaker provides bespoke wealth management solutions and aims to achieve his clients' individual goals. I'm not going to do the whole bio because he's a bad man and you know what you do, okay? He's got a fantastic speech. He is a family man as well. He loves to play golf. Are you good though?
Okay.
All right, okay. He loves to play golf and he competes in triathlon events as well. You triathlon, you swimmer. Look at you. Bad boy. Okay. And he's going to come up here and he's going to give us a presentation. And I want you to give him his undivided attention. And definitely don't be afraid to ask him questions afterwards as well, right? So please, for Charlie, give a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, David. I'm going to start tonight with a question, a proverb, and a TikTok. So my question is, when is the best time to plant a tree? And the answer is always 25 years ago. The second best time is today. My proverb is a simple one. The poor man plans for today, the rich man plans for tomorrow. And the TikTok that I want to share with you, I'm sure you've seen it, is the magical £1. Would you take £1 million today? Or would you take a magical £1, which doubles every single day for the month? And if you take that magical pound, by the end of the month, you have 5.2 million. And I start with these three pictures because it's the essence of very simplistic wealth management. Start as soon as possible, have a plan, and understand the value of compound growth on your wealth management plan. So, what is wealth management? Let me introduce it in a little bit more detail. It's about creating a financial plan for you to unlock your objectives. It's about building protection, investments, your wealth, and your legacy. To do it properly, it's a very personal process. It's about people opening up and sharing with me their thoughts, desires, goals at a very early stage. So it's only fair that I share a little bit about me first. So I'm married, you can see my lovely family, 20 years financial service experience. I'm a partner at St. James's Place Wealth Management, known as SJP. So SJP is the UK's leading wealth manager. We're a FTSE 100 listed company. To give you a sense of scale and size, we have circa 154 billion under asset and 750,000 clients. And a statistic that has nothing to do with me because I wasn't in the company, but I love to dine out on it, is we're actually the quickest organisation to go from inception to FTSE 100 listed status of anybody else in the FTSE. So, who are my clients? And that's the really interesting part of the job, and that's the really interesting part of tonight. It can be anybody, and it's about helping people unlock their objectives. So I know that if you're in this room tonight, Forbes Family Group have identified you not just for what you can achieve, but what you're going on to achieve. And if I can be part of that journey, helping you unlock your personal goals or business goals, it's an absolute privilege to be on that ride. So how does it work working with a wealth manager? It's the complete opposite of what I'm doing right now. Right? It's one-on-one conversations. It's listening, not talking. It's creating that safe place for you to share your goals and trying to, as I say, unlock those goals. So there is client confidentiality, but there's one client of mine who's in this room today who we all know, and that's Dean Forbes. And Dean is happy for me to tell you a little bit about our relationship, what we do, etc. And it started off with just protection, putting in protection for him, his wife, and then from there we talked about investments, we're doing ISAs, we talked about wealth legacy, and it's building on that long-term relationship. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about your plan. Let's talk about your goals. And often people say to me, well, look, what do I need to retire? How do I work it out? Where do I start? So I want to introduce you to the first concept, which is FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early. And this is a really simplistic concept. Take what you want on a monthly basis annualize it, and multiply it by 25. And that becomes your North Star. That is your target. And if you can achieve that, then what you'll be able to do is take out 4% each year, allow for inflation, and have that passive income stream to help you reach financial freedom. The second concept I want to talk to you a little bit about is liquid assets. Because a liquid asset is something like a pension or cash or ISAs. It's something that you can use to draw down to create that income. Now, how do you do that? So we've got our target. We think, right, I want X by this stage. I know I need to create a liquid asset. We've then got to start a monthly plan. And that's controlling and understanding your budget. So there's a couple of things or costs that you need to be aware of. So that's essential expenditure. Everybody in this room will have essential expenditure. That's your rent, that's your mortgage, that's your utility bills, that's your car, your mobile. And anything above that is discretionary income. And it's not for me to tell you how to spend your discretionary income. You will work hard, enjoy it, treat yourself. Life is for living. But the ratio or the thoughts that you've got to have with yourself is, at what percentage or proportion of my discretionary income do I treat myself today, or do I pay forward to future you? Because it's those payments paying future you which is going to build your liquid asset base, which will help you hit your North Star. So what are the types of products which I can work with? And I could do a 45-minute session on any one of these projects, but we're not products, but I'm not going to do that today. It all depends on, are you an individual, or am I talking to you as a business owner? But you can see here we've got protection, we've got pensions, we've got investments, inheritance taxes, IHT, that's your wealth legacy, and the government will find a reason to tax you everywhere. And anything I can do to help you, exactly, pay less tax, I want to help you, right? Then those business owners, how do you get money or wealth from your business into you in the most tax efficient manner as possible? How do you grow your business? How do you work towards that business exit? And how do you plan and take that business wealth and invest it for yourself? So these are all the things that I could talk to you about. But I want to highlight protection, pensions, and ISAs very quickly, because I think that they're the ones which will most likely be relevant to most people in this room. So I always start with protection. It's a little bit morbid. I'm sorry, I don't want to be a downer on this high energy, wonderful event. But look, first thing is life cover. So you got to think, have you got dependents? Who's dependent upon you earning? What happens if you're not around? Put protection in place, life cover. The second thing is you might be co-owning a property with someone. And that's decreasing life term assurance, which will basically insure you for your part of the mortgage. So if something happens to you, the person that you're living with won't be adversely affected. Now, statistically, you'll be pleased to know you're not likely to die. You're more, unfortunately, likely to have an illness, a critical illness or an income. And for business owners or individuals, it's really important that you insure yourself. Anybody here with a car will know it's a legal requirement to have car insurance. Anybody with a phone might think, Christ, I need to get myself phone insurance just in case I have a drunken mishap. But everybody here, your biggest asset is you and your ability to earn. And that's why you should look at income protection, which means if you're unable to earn, you've got that income stream which will help you. Now again, before starting investments, 2 bits of information I think is really important to cover to help you protect against yourself. The first of all is clear your credit card debt. All right, starting investing when you've got credit card debt is like driving a Ferrari with your foot on the pedal and your foot on the brake, right? You're not going to go anywhere. The second thing is, when is the right time to start? And you want to make sure you have sufficient, I call them emergency funds or rainy day funds. And people will always say, well, how do I know what is the appropriate amount of rainy day funds? It all depends on your domestic setup. Again, I come back to your essential expenditure. If you are no dependent, you're a high skill set in demand, you're probably looking at about 3 months worth of essential expenditure. If you have dependents, you're a sole income household, you're a slightly rarer skill set, which means that might take you a little bit longer if you change jobs. You may be thinking about 6 to 7 months expenditure. Second product, I want to talk pensions. Now I know you're going to be rolling your eyes thinking, oh God, pensions are boring. If I said to you, who wants to pay less tax, your ears would prick up. If I said to you, there's a solution out there where you could pay and get 60% tax relief, you'd probably be interested. And this is the value of pensions. And I really wish when I was in my 20s, I understood this and I would have saved up for paying a lot less tax. So a pension is the government's way of rewarding you for paying and making investments for the future. You get everything that you put in, you get tax relief from. Now, most of you might know there's a state pension. That won't go very far. There's auto-enrollments, which is about 8% again. But you can also do a personal pension plan. And you can build a personal pension plan. You just got to understand what's available to you. So we're going to get a little bit technical. And I just want to explain tax first of all. Because if you understand tax, you'll understand the values of pensions. So if you're a limited company director in this room, you can take £60,000 out of your company. If your partner's also in the company, you can get 120 from your company to you without paying any tax. If you're PAYE or sole trader, let me just break down how tax works. Bear with me. The first 12,000 is your personal allowance. Then you pay 20% tax, then you pay 40% tax, and you pay 45% tax. Most people know that. What they don't know is there's a hidden tax bracket, and that is at the 100K mark. Because when you start earning 100K, your personal allowance starts to erode. So you're actually paying the highest amount of tax in the country, 60%. 40% PAYE, 20% erosion of your personal allowance. And you have a choice here. If you put funds into your pension to help you build that liquid asset base, you will get effectively 60% tax relief. So it's a really, really, really powerful place to start. Now, again, I really do appreciate that many of you in this room will be thinking life's hard, you're trying to grow your business, you're working hard on a monthly basis. It's a lifetime away thinking, age 57, getting access to a pension. So this is where the individual savings account, or ISA, is really, really, really valuable. It's like a current account on speed. It's also a tax shelter for you. And I will mention tax 3 or 4 or 5 times in this presentation, because if you want your money to work hard, don't keep paying tax to the government, right? Now, you can put up to £20,000 a year into your ISAs. There's cash ISAs, and there's stocks and shares ISAs. Traditionally, if you're thinking about investing, you really want to be thinking 3 or 4 years' time if you're going to go into stocks and shares. Now, let's just recap very quickly. We talked about objectives, we talked about goals, we talked about protection, we've talked about what are the different products. We're now ready to start to make that investment. So how do we build that portfolio or that first product for you? It all depends on your risk. And everybody here, who doesn't want to be low risk and high reward, right? That's just a given. But the reality is lower risk will be lower reward, higher risk will be higher reward. But there's certain principles which are out there, which if you know and you do it in the right way, you can maximize your reward by lowering your risk. The first thing is understanding what is your readiness and your capacity for loss. What is your time horizons? Because a loss is only a loss when you sell. If you can weather that storm and keep things invested and wait for them to recover, then you're not materializing that loss. So that's where the emergency funds come into it. A bit of patience, a bit of security means that you can have your investments working longer. The other aspect is understanding different asset classes. So asset classes, which goes in, are different products which go into your basket. Most people will know cash. Then there's a bond. A bond is a promise. A corporate bond, a promise from a company to pay you interest at a higher rate than you get in a bank. Or a share is a share in a company, an equity. And then there's commercial property as the fourth major one, or second properties in that case. And if you can build your basket full of different asset classes, you can really help spread your risk and build your liquid asset base. So again, pros and cons on different asset classes. And this is a really good one. I'm going to introduce you to the rule of 72. Right? And this is, if you take £1 and you get 1% growth each year, it will take you 72 years to double your money. So international equities at the moment, that's growing at 5.5%. That's going to take you 13 years. This is a little bit out of date, this chart. Global treasury or bonds will take you 0.5%, will take you 147 years. And then you've got cash. Now, 6 months ago, cash was at 0.1%. That would have taken you 720 years to double your money. Now, we know, anybody watching the news will know that interest rates have hiked up. And I kept this slide deliberately, even though it's out of date, because it's just a reminder to everybody about it's great to have a plan, but any one of your assets classes can change. One can be favourable now, 6 months later it cannot be favourable, and being on top of that is really important to successful wealth management. And finally, I want to start where I finished, about starting early. And I want to introduce you to two investors. Investor number one started at age 25. She invested £5,000 for 10 years and then stopped. And this really demonstrates the snowball effect, the starting early, the effect that it has on compound growth. Because compare her to investor number two. Investor number two starts at age 35, invests the same amount of money for 30 years, 3 times, and is always having less liquid assets and wealth than investor number one. So look, in summary, set your goals. Understand what your monthly expenditure is, so you've got a really good understanding on your discretionary income. Build those emergency funds. Assess your protection needs. Then when you start investing, look at your discretionary income and ask yourself, do I want to treat current self or do I want to pay future self? Because it's paying future self which is going to build your liquid assets, which is going to move the dial significantly to give you your net wealth in retirement. Start small. Small and regular is going to be much better than sporadic investments hopping in and hopping out. Thank you so much for listening. I know many of you in this room will have already started planting your wealth management tree, and I wish you all the best of luck in that. If anybody in here tonight is ready to start planting the tree or in the future and you've got any questions, come and find me. I'd love to talk to you. Have a great night.